Okay, welcome to Bacon Wrap Business. I'm Brad and I'm your host today, and I want to let you know that my guest today is Curt Maly. Now, Curt is one of the most sought after experts in the world of Facebook media buying, social media marketing, and paid traffic strategies. He is also my not so secret anymore weapon that I utilize with my clients, with my business, and he's the person that I first not only call when I need advice and help, but often refer, partner, and strategize with him on my client accounts and some of the businesses that I own as well. So today you are going to get a very special peek inside as I said, one of the people that I use for understanding this world even better. Because this is the stuff that's really working now. This is very unique methods that are very effective. I've used them, you're using them. And there is a big paradigm shift and reframe that people need to do in order to really understand the way this works. And when I did it and you explained this to me, I'm like, oh my God, that makes so much sense, especially in a vastly changing marketplace where traditional like Facebook ads to landing page, like to cold traffic, don't really work anymore. Or if they do work, they're getting much more expensive. And I know in the past with some of my clients, I would just try to create highly targeted interest-based and demographic-based audiences and send them to a webinar funnel, et cetera. And I just started to see the effectiveness go down and the cost go up, and sometimes having to turn things off because it didn't work anymore. But there are some things that are working, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. So shift a couple paradigms, Curt, the way that only you can do.
So a couple of things. We're going to start from a 10,000 foot view, and then we can dive down this just a little bit more. Let's talk about, first thing we have to talk about is please open your mind. Be open to new ideas and new possibilities. When I say that, the reason I mean that is because we're going to change some belief systems. It's interesting how many arguments I get into, Brad, which is I'm not arguing with clients on math and facts. We're arguing now on belief systems. It's what old beliefs that we think that we should do versus what's actually working right now. So, number one, we just covered, social proof is not related directly to ROI. It's okay to have social testimonials, but lots of likes and shares don't lead to big ROI. We got that one. That's easy. Let's do the second one. Click-through rate is not indicative of purchases, brand awareness, or brand recall. Okay, let me say that in layman's terms because remember, I have a PhD, which is a public high school diploma, so we're going to make this very simple and easy. What happens is big data has shown us that if you have a higher click-through rate, right? Many times Brad will run an ad and will say, hey, the higher click-through rate means the more clicks. The more clicks means the more people to our page. The more people to our page, the more leads that we're going to get. How do we get a higher click-through rate? Facebook big data says actually higher click-through rates do not lead to brand recall. They don't lead to purchase intent, and they don't lead to purchase. So now that means that we're driving for a higher click-through rate, which Facebook says actually people who click are window shoppers, and the people who buy, 90% of people who buy don't click.
Right.
Holy shit, wait a minute. Click-through rates don't matter and clicks don't matter. Holy crap. How does this whole thing work? Well, people don't have to be clicking on anything right now when they're listening to the podcast. They're listening and they're consuming content. So what we're talking about is a Facebook tracking issue. Our silly, fun human monkey minds are like, we must get a lead today. Like you said, you saw costs going up because what everyone wants to do is, I have a new cattle funnel. Funnel. Where I'm going to make 20 different ads to make sure the exact same person clicks on one of the ads that hopefully should work, that goes to a landing page that hopefully that should work with the same headline and everything else, and hopefully the green button, yellow button, red button, that should work, and maybe something should opt in. Well, if all that stuff doesn't really matter and people can build a rapport, well, wait a minute, what happens if we don't even need opt-in pages anymore and we can just build a rapport by video? We're going to talk about that more than just a minute. So social proof doesn't matter. Click-through rates don't necessarily matter. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about social proof that will really blow your mind, is because I believe most people are spending too much money on Facebook. Here's the interesting paradigm and the belief system change. And by the way, I've worked with tons of people over the last 10 years doing this, so whether you want to believe me or not, it's fine. But my phone will ring off the hook by some of the people I know that listen to the show, and they're going to be like, wait a minute. This didn't make any sense. What about? So Brad asked me any questions for clarification because it's, as you said before we started, sometimes this is just so simple. It's like, what?
Yep.
So here's what ends up happening. What we're doing right now is we are running a strategy called the Hot 7 strategy. And what the Hot 7 is, and we have training videos on this, we're happy to give links in the show notes. But what we do is we're going to retarget people based on, have they seen us in the last 7 days? See, what most people do, and you're going to get a visual aid on this if you're watching this in the video, what most people do, and this is going to be the brain science of it, most people are like, okay, I'm going to start running a webinar funnel for Brad's Beer Company. I'm going to start running 20 different ads. I'm going to test 5 different audiences. We're going to run to this one landing page. And again, I'm going to make sure the button's blue, green, yellow, or red. The problem with us internet marketers is we're going to start and stop traffic all at that top of funnel. If it doesn't work right away or within a couple of days, we're going to shut it down. The problem is, Brad, is we don't know, was it our ad creative? Was it the blue button? Was it the green button? Was it the headline? Or heck, maybe we didn't even check and see if it actually loads on mobile. That could be the reason, but we think it's the button color. There's so many variables we just don't know. So what people do is they're going to start testing out a bunch of ads top of funnel. You may be doing this right now. Most people I talk to say they're doing this right now. You test out a bunch of ads top of funnel. Well, Brad, as you know, this is, let's just say that again, you test out 10 ads to 4 different audiences. Well, only 1 or 2 of those combinations are going to work. So if 90% of your ads don't work top of funnel, most people set up retargeting ads and say, hey, 10% off, or hey, opt in again. That's it. And they're like, hey, I ran a bunch of ads. It didn't work. I ran it to my website and didn't sell anything. Right. It's a little bit more complicated than that. What we do is we start bottom of funnel. So the very, very bottom of funnel, someone's going to go buy your beer machine, your beer processor. They're right at the sales page. We start thinking about, what do people want to see bottom of funnel? Like if they're right on the sales page, right, screw everything else at this point. We're just talking about very, very bottom. They went to the sales page and they were looking at your sales page and they didn't buy. What would they want to see? Well, most people want to do a 10% off coupon. But what I want to see is I want to see some social proof. When I go to Amazon, I'm going to look for some 5-star reviews. So if I run some ads that are image ads that showcase testimonials and some 5-star reviews, that's what people look for naturally on Amazon.
Right,
what else they look for? Testimonials. Let's run some testimonials bottom of funnel.
And by the way, I just want to interject here real quickly, just for everybody else's sake. And we're using terminology that some people may not understand. There is a concept called top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. And I'll just take the liberty to explain it. Bottom of the funnel. I mean, they come into the top, right? They're not really aware of who you are, the problem or the solution, and you're just trying to get awareness. Middle of the funnel is you're starting to build rapport, relationship, trust, know, like, and trust you. And then bottom of the funnel, they kind of like you. They think that potentially they want to buy what you've got. They've come to your sales page. Maybe they've come to your order form and they're about ready to buy, but for some reason, they just didn't squeeze out the very bottom of the funnel. So you just have to kind of understand it's based upon their awareness, rapport, and intent. Much like if you're going to, you walk into if you're a single guy, you walk into a bar, you see a beautiful woman. Well, if she doesn't see you, that's top of the funnel. You got to first get her to see you. Then you got to go, maybe walk over and talk to her. Then you got to have a conversation and make her kind of like you before you try to get her phone number or go on a date with her. So I don't know why I always think
always go to dating
and relationships.
Let me say this. I was explaining this to David Gonzalez the other day. Really quite interesting. And I go like, here's the best way to explain it. Imagine that you own Brad's grocery store. Now what happens is lots of